Hello, hello, hello. This is Heidi. I'm filling in for Pastor Paul for a moment. We had to go live because, as many of you have already known, and Jessica, thank you for contacting me. There has been an explosion at the Canadian-U.S. border with the Rainbow Bridge crossing in New York. 2 have been confirmed dead, and the border is closed. A law enforcement official who spoke to the AP, who was not authorized to discuss details of the investigation publicly, shared the information on the condition of anonymity. Eyewitness reported seeing a speeding car and then balls of flame Wednesday when the vehicle suddenly crashed and exploded at the U.S. border checkpoint in Niagara Falls, triggering a lockdown along the Canadian and U.S. border. 4 separate entry points between Canada and New York State were shut down as a precaution while law enforcement officials flooded the complex on the U.S. side of the Rainbow Bridge, which spans the Niagara River. Videos have been posted to social media showed smoke and flames and the wreckage of at least 1 vehicle at the secondary checkpoint complex. The Associated Press quoted one eyewitness who told a local television station that the vehicle had been approaching from the U.S. side of the border when it suddenly began to accelerate at a high rate of speed. All of a sudden, he said, it went up into the air, and I saw several reports say that the car went airborne, and then it was a ball of fire like 30 or 40 feet high. Never saw anything like it, they said. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told the House of Commons that Canada was working closely with the U.S. and taking the matter extremely seriously before he excused himself to attend a briefing. His National Security Advisor, the Public Safety Minister, the RCMP, and the Canadian Border Services agencies are fully engaged in providing the necessary support. Additional measures are being contemplated and activated at all border crossings across the country. They're taking this matter extraordinarily serious. 3 other land crossings, including the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge in Niagara on the Lake Ontario, the Peace Bridge in Buffalo, New York, and the Trusted Traveler Whirlpool Rapids Bridge in Niagara Falls are all closed. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc called it a violent circumstance and a source of concern for both countries, but warned against speculation in the absence of more details. Anytime a piece of infrastructure as important to Canada and the United States, like a border crossing, sees this kind of violent circumstance, it's a source of concern for the government of Canada and for the United States, says LeBlanc. We're taking this circumstance very seriously, but to speculate on the origin of this particular circumstance, the reasons why this may have happened, we have to wait until they have more accurate information. New York Governor Kathy Hochul said in a statement that she had been fully briefed and was monitoring the situation closely, including traveling to Buffalo to meet with law enforcement. Hochul said the state police were actively working with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force to monitor all of the state's points of entry. Niagara Regional Police say they are also monitoring developments and that there is no known threat on the Canadian side of the border. CNN reported that 2 people in the vehicle died when it exploded in the secondary screening area after entering the customs complex at a high rate of speed. Earlier reports said it had been referred for inspection. The incident comes just 1 week after FBI Director Christopher Wray had warned a congressional committee about a heightened risk of extremism linked to the Israel-Hamas war. Our provincial law enforcement is actively engaged in assessing the situation, says the Ontario Premier Doug Ford in a statement. They are working with local law enforcement and are providing support as required. So this is all coming from the Canadian Press and from the Associated Press. So this is where I am reading this from. So prayers for all of the U.S., as you guys are saying. Yes, Patty, definitely. As you know, we have already been ahead of this and working on Invade America for all the borders that have been being breached and being softened for quite a while now. It was probably only a matter of time before we were going to see anything like this happen. Unfortunately, this has happened at the Rainbow Bridge, called the Rainbow Bridge. My granddaughter says, why do they call it the Rainbow Bridge? Well, it's at Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls is known to make the most beautiful rainbows in the world, some of them. Of course, Hawaii, of course, says they have the most beautiful rainbows. But regardless, it's called the Rainbow Bridge because of the beautiful rainbows that are emitted by Niagara Falls. And the rainbows, of course, are, if you look in Genesis 9, the rainbows are a covenant between God and us, and on God and the earth, including God and the animals, and it's a covenant. And when God is just on the other side of that veil of that rainbow, looking back at us. So let's pray now that this is just an isolated incident. Let's hope and pray that it's just an isolated incident, and that all of the authorities are going to be safe as they hunker down, and they've closed all these border entry points, and that they're taking a good close look at it, taking it seriously like they should have been taking it all along, and hope that that this is just an isolated incident and there would be no more incidents like this. Yes, I wish they would take the same care at our southern border, but they're taking this seriously at the northern border right now, which is what needs to happen. I have another report here that says the international border crossing points between Canada and Western New York are closed after the reported incident, which also injured at least one person, a 27-year-old male, who was taken to Niagara Falls Memorial Hospital with minor injuries, including back pain and minor cuts. His condition is not severe, and it doesn't say exactly how he was injured, where he was at in the midst of it all. The FBI Buffalo field office is investigating a vehicle explosion at the Rainbow Bridge, a border crossing between the U.S. and Canada in Niagara Falls. So it's pretty much repeating the same information that I just went over with you all. But like I said, there's several other border crossings that are closed between Canada and the U.S., specifically throughout the New York area, but also they're taking a look, it says, at all the border crossings across the north to make sure that there are no more incidents. Now, here, there is already, on our television station, it's saying they're already calling it a terrorist attack, although in the AP News, they're being very careful not to call it a terrorist attack. So I guess we'll wait and see. The reason that I'm speaking here, I felt that I needed to go ahead and say something about this with all of these things unfolding. As Pastor, I think he told you earlier, he had some doctor's appointments. They're running a little bit of tests on him. And as you know, when you spend a day with the doctor and you spend a day with tests, he's not feeling the greatest. So he's taking a little nap right now. He does know about this, but he told me to go ahead and get this started, and that he'll update you guys in a little bit when he feels a little bit better. Okay, so I'll let you guys, he'll come in and talk about this a little bit later, but we wanted to get this out here and let everybody know. And thank you, Jessica, for letting me know that things are going about all of this. So, but Pastor wanted me to get everything going while he's recovering from a few tests that he had today. So, love you guys and pray for Pastor. He's doing just fine. And he'll be with you guys in a little bit, but just let him recover a little bit from a day with the doctor, as you guys know how that. So, gonna jump off of here, keep a watch on this, and we will keep a watch on this too, and I'll jump back up on here if it needs to be, and Pastor will get you all cut up when we need to, all right? Or later, for sure. So we'll see you guys, and God bless.